session and no action was taken. Now we'll have a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize for the late start. Next, we will have student board rep comments. Nathan, I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So on March 4th, we had our benefit fashion show. It was a great success. We had a lot of student models and a lot of great attendance from parents. And then last week we had our MAP LA trip. It was like a 5-day trip where all the MAP students went to LA. They did a bunch of fun stuff like going to Hollywood and Universal and etc. And then we also had our Mesh benefit concert last Thursday. They made 2,325 cents for the Harmony Project Bay Area. It's like a fundraiser where student bands come together and perform for the parents and students. And we had our jazz cabaret last Saturday. That's where the Redwood and Saratoga High School jazz bands come together and they play in the large gym to perform to students and teachers and parents. And they all have a good time and dance. And it's a fun time. And today is Pi Day. So the senior class office, they hosted a Pi Your Teacher Day event. It was very fun, where students could pay $3 to get a plate full of whipped cream and throw it at a teacher. And I saw Mr. Robinson, he like took two full plates of whipped cream and just shoved them into Mr. Safine's face. Quite amazing.
Got him good.
I was going to say, you still look pretty ecstatic about it.
Yeah, I was until I get the revenge someday. So.
And then our orchestras and our ensembles performed this Thursday in the McAfee, and our CMEA performances will be happening at Lynbrook on Friday and Saturday. And then Friday is when our club commissioners on ASB host our annual club rush, where it's basically all the clubs on campus, they come together in the quad, and they all sell different kinds of food, such as like pizza, In-N-Out, Chipotle, Pro Milk Tea, and stuff like that. And then on the 24th, we have our Spring Fling Rally. That's where the boys, Powder Puff cheerleaders, they come together. Each class performs their own like cheer for the girls. And then the 25th is our Spring Fling Dance. The theme is Dancing with the Decades, and we started selling tickets today. 27th is our Lip Dub. Just like how Los Gatos has a Lip Dub every year, Saratoga is starting to get on that trend, and we're going to try and do one this year.
Which day is that?
The 27th, it's a Monday.
Thank you.
And then the 28th to 31st, we have our Powder Puff games, and that's always exciting and fun to watch. And then April 15th is Junior Prom. It'll be at the Glass House, and the theme this year is the Oscars, and we also started selling tickets today for that event as well. And next year's ASB elections will also be coming up very soon in April as well. And that's it. Thank you.
That dance for the decades sounds
Yes.
really good.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of decades. I know a lot of dances. Too many. Thank you very much. Okay, can't see. Nate.
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, that's okay. I can't see it even then.
Real good. So just a couple of updates. Sadie's was 2 weeks ago. We had attendance for about 600 people, which is great. The theme was under the sea, so not decades, but very close. We're looking to boosting the number of kids at dances. In the future to include more than half the student body. Now we're at a quarter, so that's our goal. LGSUHD's second job shadow program was also yesterday, which went really well. It was, there was a ton of positive feedback from the 300 students that went and the 70 organizations that participated. So there was like I said, Google, a lot of really cool, interesting places. We also had the all-school Lip Dub take place last Friday. We had, I think, 23 organizations participate, 70 plus kids, and I think around an estimate of 600 people who participated. Everyone was dressed really well, and we had, it was kind of like a spirit rally. We had everyone start down in the science wing, and actually the teachers started for the first time this year, which was pretty fun. And we all kind of Started and ended on the front lawn. And I'll actually bring it in hopefully in a few weeks so you guys can see it once it's all like edited and pretty. Yeah. So we also had the opening weekend for LGS's Legally Blonde. If you guys are interested in that, I think there's tickets on the LGS website. So definitely check that out. And the last weekend is next weekend. And like Saratoga, we have our leadership election kind of like this week. All 2,000 kids will vote. We send out iPads to every single classroom. It's all going to be Google formed and beautiful. So we'll let you know what happens. Very, very exciting. On the sports side, LGS helped to host K-Bell, which is a huge track meet over this past weekend. There's 9,000 people there. So if you're wondering why there's traffic in Los Gatos on Saturday, that's why. Tons of people. Some other things when sports are ending, LGS girls basketball placed second in CCS and actually went all the way to NorCal. Boys second, CCS actually lost to a second, like a last minute buzzer beater, but also went on to NorCal. Boys soccer went to the first round of CCS playoffs. Wrestling came 7th, and we actually had a kid from LG win CCS. So that's really exciting. Alexander Escudero. Also, last week we had the SBAC testing to all juniors. I think is Mr. Meaner still here, who's helped lead that and had a ton of help from the LGS math and English teachers. And that actually went really smoothly, so props to him. That is pretty much all that's happening in Los Gatos.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of
It's
things.
quickly.
A lot of great things happening at both schools, and you two always make it so interesting. So thank you for those reports. Bob, can you be as interesting?
I don't think so. No. Actually, you can eat a cookie.
That's very kind.
You guys can thank, actually you can thank me for your day off yesterday.
Thank you.
See, there you go. So I'm gonna leave the legislative brunch to Cynthia and Catherine who attended, so I know you have kind of want to steal your thunder that we attended that. But so yesterday we had an extremely successful all-staff professional development day that was hosted by Christine Los Gatos staff and teachers and everyone. It was all hands on deck. But it was led by many of the folks that you're going to see tonight doing the presentation, our ILC team. But that was led by Carrie Bosco, who spearheaded the entire event, worked with the team to make it happen, and I'm telling you, it was one of the best events we've ever had in the district. And that's the feedback that we got from staff as well. Adam Minyard, Brian Thompson, Julie Grenier, and Kristen Nicole. I almost called your sister's name. I'm so sorry, Nicole. I know your name, Nicole. And Tony Palmer. Really integral parts of having and helping that day be successful yesterday. So if I don't get a chance to thank them, I thanked them yesterday, but I wanted to make sure that the board understood above and beyond to make something really work well for the district, and I'm really thankful for their efforts. That's all I have.
That was interesting.
I was going to say that was
Okay, so let me read. Yeah, you guys.
And staff development is such an integral part of our philosophy here. So I'm glad that it was well received, and I know how much work went into it. So thank you all.
You are Nicole, not Kristen.
Did you have any comments or the?
No, there was a really bad car wreck when I parked my car, and I had to be there for the police and PD and the fire. Just sorry, it's unpleasant. So when you're leaving, just
We didn't even notice.
Yeah, so it's just
Not to worry.
He covered everything.
He did.
yeah, and so thank you.
Okay. No, and I want to echo again what Bob just said. And not only did the ILC team spearhead a lot of it, but each of our teams, the curriculum council, our leadership team of teachers on our sites, I think did an incredible job working with teachers. And so it was really one of the best professional growth days I've ever been involved in.
Great. I'm glad that our staff, that there's such good buy-in from our staff, which is really important. Okay, public comment. Now, I don't see any blue cards, so we're off the hook for that. Report and discussion. First is the annual report of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to, Rick is about to stand up and present. So Rick, thank you for being here. And generally, the Bond Oversight Committee continues to do a great job. So thank you.
Well, thanks for supporting this, and Jane, thanks for making the thing run like a well-oiled machine. We appreciate your organizational leadership. I'm Rick Tinsley, I'm chairman of the Measure E Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Please, on behalf of all my fellow committee members, to submit the report that you've seen in your package. I'd be happy to answer any questions over it. To summarize their activities for the past year and our conclusion that all the Measure E funds that were spent during the past year were indeed spent as intended on Measure E projects. I'd be happy to field any questions that you have.
Any questions? Thank you, and thank you for doing that work, and I'm so relieved that we're spending our money properly.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. Next, we have the instructional leadership team and the technology committee report.
So I have the privilege of inviting the ILC team up for the presentation this evening, and this team meets weekly and looks at our professional development that we're providing to our teachers. They also help support all of our instructional technology implementation. So I couldn't be more proud to introduce them to you this evening and their report. We did provide you with some feedback forms. We would love to get your feedback about the report this evening. If any additional information is requested, or if you have questions for them, or just general comments, we'll collect those at the end of the evening.
Great. And for our fellow board members, the request is that we hold all questions until the end of their report, so they can make a fluid report. Okay, Adam, I guess you're the lead off.
I guess, yes, lead off better, I guess. Thanks for having us tonight, we really appreciate it. The ILC is a team that was put together by Carrie, with Carrie's leadership, that I have been the pleasure of being part of for 2 years now. I love the opportunity to work with Carrie and the rest of the team. We complement each other well, we fill each other's gaps, and it's a really great team to be a part of. So what are the ILC goals and objectives? A few of the goals and objectives is to build trusting relationship with teachers, number one. And we do that by means of teacher orientation, new teacher orientation, where we invite all of our new teachers in and make them feel welcome right when they get here. Through our BITSA program, which was formerly led by Peter Jordan and now led by Peter Palma. And just coaching in general, whether it's technology coaching, instructional coaching, however we want to phrase it, and whatever fill that teacher needs, we want to fill. We know that even the best of best professionals, whether it's Buster Posey or Steph Curry, they all have coaches still, even though they are at the top of their game. So no matter how good a teacher is, we can always get some coaching and be better. We also have the opportunity to plan professional development for that growth and to give the opportunity for growth to our teachers. We model and share best practices. We have a Google amazing person in Nicole that's basically transforming the way we communicate and interact with each other through Google apps for education. And then of course Julie is our Canvas guru who just fills in all of the needs and helps teachers where they're at, no matter whether they're the highest or the lowest or just starting. She's always there to help. We also guide teachers and staff to educational resources. One of the things that we're trying to implement in the ILC is to become more of a support service. If teachers want to bring in a guest speaker for their department, we want to be able to facilitate for them and make it an easier pathway for them to get. If they want some sort of training, we want to make that an easier pathway for them to have access to. And one of the last things we do is we support district assessment needs. For instance, the Smarter Balance and the CAS testing, which is the new science testing that's coming up. We are all intertwined in that, and I got tons of help from this whole team last week here on site when we were testing our 500 or so juniors, and it ran really smoothly thanks to the help of this team.
So as Bob mentioned, we help organize the professional development activities in the district, and we have 3 full days that we organize during the year, and then we have a number of 4 days of afternoon collaboration activities that we work on. And our presentation is kind of built into 2 parts. So what we do, we're going to go through a number of those sequences, and then what's new, what's coming right at the remainder of this year and into next year. So what we've done and what we do with the PD is in August, remember Convocation, we had the LGSPN kickoff event in the gym. And then We had in October, we had a social emotional focus with our focus event that day. And then just yesterday, as Bob mentioned, was our Go 17. And you're going to learn a little bit more about that from Brian Thompson about what Go 17 means and the direction we went yesterday and why it was so successful with our district. But all of these PD days are built around our strategic buckets in terms of culture of collaboration, innovative practices, and our social emotional support. So we've designed them to really target those strategic learning goals for our teachers.
All right, and then building on to our culture of collaboration, we also have some collaboration afternoons. And so this year there are 4 different afternoons where the teachers meet for an hour. The first time that we met was in September, and we did a World Cafe style of PD, where our focus was talking about the social emotional needs of the students and also the teachers. And so we had discussion around, say, student stress, which involved the teachers and the students. And we had it going on at Los Gatos High School and also at Saratoga High School. And they did different kind of rounds of questions and discussions. And we recorded it all. We did it all online so that we were collaborating not only in our own, in each of the schools, but across the 2 different schools. So that went really well. And then the next time that we met was in November. And it was kind of like a little mini conference style where there was some choice about what they wanted to do. At Los Gatos, they were working on WASC, so they were collaborating with each other on doing the WASC goals, and at the same time, they were using all of the Google tools and the Google Drive, so it's kind of like an authentic purpose at the same time. And then over at Saratoga, we did a little Google session, and then we also had one about homework. And then we also had one about Canvas, where Julie was helping people with more support with Canvas. In February, and then we have another upcoming one in April, we did some training for the teachers. So one was on creating safe schools for transgender students. And then also there was the QPR training for the suicide prevention. So that everybody got the mandatory training. So those were, that's when we're coming. All right. Oh, yes. Okay, so individual support too. So the ILC and the instructional coaches also provide individual support for the teachers. So Adam talked a little bit about it earlier, but we start off with the BITSA and the new teacher support, and then we also make sure to connect with people who are new to the district who may not necessarily be new teachers, but connecting them, making sure they feel welcome and supported, and staying in touch with them throughout the year, as well as any other teachers who want support. A lot of times it may be that they want one-to-one tech support and learning new things, they want to try new things. So whether it be that we're working one-on-one with them to try to figure out how to do Canvas, or we do Google training, we'll meet with them individually or in small groups, maybe at the department meetings, and do some kind of Google training, or maybe they want to try to plan something with their lessons where they're going to be trying something a little more innovative. So for a lot of teachers, maybe trying something more creative and innovative, and they're not exactly sure how it might look with their classroom. So I'll do things like meet with them individually to plan together, figure out how we're going to do it. And then one of my favorite things to do is to go into their classrooms and do demo lessons with their students, planning with them so they can learn and figure out the technology at the same time the students are doing it, so they can feel a little bit braver about trying new things. And we work together and collaborate, and that's really one of the best things.
And to piggyback on that, we've had over 400 individual contacts with teachers where we've gone in and helped them in their classrooms, or helped them by giving them Canvas and Google support individually during their preps. So,
Yeah, so as you can imagine, the gap between instruction and technology is narrowed significantly. So what the ILC does is we work directly with our tech team, with Charles and his team, to make sure that the technology that teachers are working with on a daily basis is not only the technology they need, but that it's working appropriately. And we kind of bridge that gap between the two instructional side and the technology side. So one of the things that we do to help this support is we collect survey data. We use the Bright Bytes survey data where we benchmark our district against similar districts in the county and in the nation. And that helps us understand where we are in terms of our professional development needs and where we can best direct our instructional efforts. We look at different types of instructional tools, whether it's Google or a new app that a teacher's interested in. They'll bring that information to us. We'll go through it with them. We'll practice it with them. As Julie mentioned, we'll have those individual contacts with them to support them, and then work together with their hardware technology to make sure that the hardware technology is meeting their needs. And then ultimately we have our tech bond fund that is being directed and recommended that we spend certain dollars on certain resources and technology based on the findings that we have. So we, as you know, brought this information to you before and talked about where we think certain funds should go to based on what we're seeing in the greater educational community. So that's that technology support piece. And Julie, with Canvas.
Another part of our technology. So we wanted to give you an update on Canvas. We're in our 4th year now. And as you can see, our use is growing exponentially. In our first year, we had 250,000 page hits a month. Now we hit that many in a week. So we have over 1 million page views per month now. That's a 4-fold increase. And all of our teachers, or 99% of them, are using the Canvas gradebook to enter grades. 75% of them update grades regularly on a 3-week basis. And we have, as I said, 300 teacher trainings. Every student is logged in within the past 30 days. And most of them use their calendar as their main way of finding out what their homework assignments are and what's upcoming for their academics. And one of the great uses that we have at Canvas that was somewhat unexpected was when Highway 17 closed. As you know, we have a lot of teachers over the hill. Some teachers who couldn't make it in recorded, even though their power was out, recorded their lesson on their cell phone, posted it to Canvas, and then just let the sub know to have the students log into Canvas on their Chromebooks or on their devices, and their class was still able to run. And one teacher even said if he could, he would host a discussion if the students had a question while they were in class, they had a way to reach him, so they could post on a Canvas discussion and he would answer their questions. So they might not have been in class giving instruction, but they were still getting a full instructional day, and they didn't miss any academics.
Another thing that's new for the ILC this year is our collaborative effort with our district leadership and our admin from both sides, which is our ILT. It's called our Instructional Leadership Team, and basically what this is a group that meets about every month and has an opportunity for administrators and leaders district-wide to develop and support implementations, decisions around curricular decisions, instruction, and assessment. We also have the opportunity to work around book studies, which we did this past summer. We also do SEL activities, social emotional learning activities, as far as implementation and maybe best practices for what our teachers can do in their classroom as well. On a personal note, one of the things that means a lot to me is the ability as a new administrator. I have the opportunity to try to drink from a fire hose on a regular basis as far as some days on the job. But with this team, to be able to work with this team and be able to make relationships with the district, with Saratoga, with my team at Los Gatos, it's been an invaluable part. It's basically like having my own set of instructional coaches for my job with the ILT. So I truly appreciate this creation that we've made via the ILC, and it's a great opportunity for our leaders to collaborate and get some professional development, because we try to provide it for our teachers all the time, but our leaders enjoy that same aspect of the job as well.
That's what we've been doing so far this year. We have a lot of new things coming on, and the first one is that we've implemented Meals Plus. This was spearheaded by Peter Jordan, and then Stacey Murillo and I took care of the rest of it. But we have rolled out a lunch point-of-sale system on both campuses where students can use their ASB cards to charge meals. It's just like they have in the middle school. In fact, that's some of the feedback I heard at Los Gatos, that the students really liked it because their parents could load their accounts for them. It also helps because our free and reduced students just go through the line with everybody else. They're not singled out. And it allows parents to monitor their students' accounts. Some of the things I heard is bad. You don't Rice Krispie treats. So this is what we've been doing. It rolled out last week. It's all been positive. There hasn't been a lot of problems with it. And the system is also we're looking at to be able to use it for other sales, such as ticket events, yearbook, ASD sales. So we're building on that. If you want to go check it out in the cafeteria, you can punch your code in.
So we have some fun pictures for you of yesterday's activity. Yesterday was a different twist on professional development. What we decided to do is have a day where our teachers had the ability to plan their professional development for 2017, 2018. And so we called it goal-oriented 17-18, so kind of go 17. And at the end of the day yesterday, our teachers shared out, and you're looking at some of those photos here. You can see Justin Singer and an Irish mustache there in the special ed team photo. We had a lot of food for everybody, and you can see another photo with the math department at Saratoga doing some of their work, and the Los Gatos World Language team talking about the assessments that they want to work on. And so what the day looked like was we came together and then we branched off into 18 different rooms. And within those 18 rooms, we had 18 different departments, 9 at LG and 9 at Saratoga High School. And what our department chairs did is they led our teachers through looking at our collaboration for next year. So for example, we have over 20 days next year where our teachers are going to have collaboration as a department. We have 2 professional development days for our teachers next year, on top of another 12 kind of district activities that we have planned with social emotional learning and technology training. And so what our teachers did is they took control of their own departments and decided what their goals would be for 17-18. As you know, in the past, we've had some kind of standard professional development where the whole district comes together and we plan. What we found is that our teachers are at a place right now where they really want to look at individually for the departments what their professional development might look like. And so yesterday was an opportunity for our departments to come together and really plan that out and take ownership of their professional development in their department meetings and in their professional development days. What's cool about it is they lined all that up to their site goals. Like for example, at Los Gatos, they just went through the WASP plan. And so they were able to line up their department goals to the WASP plan, to the district plan as well. So everything is lined up nicely between all 3 groups. To give you an idea of what are some of the things that they came up with, you can see in this photo here, this was a big theme as you might expect curriculum-wise. What you're looking at in the math department at Saratoga there is across the top in yellow was Algebra 1. And then the next color in blue was Geometry. And then Algebra 2, and then Pre-Calculus Honors. And on the other board you can't see were the AP Calculus, the AB and BC, and the AP Statistics. And on each page is a list of the standards that we teach. And so what our departments did is they got together, and a lot of them, both of Los Gatos and Saratoga, came together and they really want to look at their vertical alignment of curriculum. So for example, what I'm teaching in Algebra 1, making sure I teach that before our students get to Algebra 2. And what I teach in Algebra 2 before our students get to Pre-Calculus or Pre-Calculus Honors, for example. And so once we lined up our courses vertically, the teachers are then working horizontally in their curriculum to make sure they're working together as well. So that vertical and horizontal alignment was a popular theme yesterday for both sites and their curriculum. So that kind of picture captured that work. That was really fun to be a part of and listen to the teachers talk and argue about why we teach this here and why we should teach it there. And no, I want to do it there. And it was really cool to see them come to terms with how they want to align their curriculum and be aligned with one another for our community. Some of the other things they talked about, in science in particular, the next generation science standards are still very popular. The Common Core State Standards, while we've rolled that out, a big thing is making sure that we're in alignment with one another with regards to the skills we need to teach for the Common Core State Standards. And so those are 2 big pieces that were threads throughout both sites yesterday as well. With the rollout of Google and the idea that next year we'll have more, hopefully one-to-one devices for our staff, some of the departments talked about what would it look like to be in a paperless classroom. And can we make that a goal? And so some of the departments chose that, and they're looking about how they can roll over all those hard copies into electronic files and then design curriculum and activities for kids and lessons around that type of one-to-one environment. So that was kind of fun to see that piece of it as well. We had an electives department at Los Gatos talk about trying to, what would it look like if we were to give a certification to our kids at the end of their 4 years through our pathway, and having that conversation on what it means to receive a certification. We had, in the visual performing arts, we had an effort to look at solo performances for artists, both in media and in musical instrumentation. So what would it look like if we want to increase that opportunity for kids? We talked a lot about, in the guidance departments, having college counselors come to campuses and the other universities come to the schools and talk to our teachers, talk to the staff, and vice versa, our staff going to the universities and looking at that. There are so many more. I don't want to go into them all. I think the point I wanted to make is by turning over professional development to our staff, what we found yesterday was a rich experience for our teachers that is going to result in tangible goodies for our kids. So I'm going to share that. Thank you.
So another new area for us this year is we have representation on the S3 subcommittee for homework. S3 is led by Heath Rocha, and it includes ILC admins, it includes guidance counselors, teachers, and district office staff to support student services. And in any case, there's a lot of work they're tackling this year, and one of them that we're really spearheading for them is this homework study. And we created an action plan to look at homework best practices. So it's Carrie Monarchy, Alex Chapman at Los Gatos, Gary Bosco, myself, and we are in the process of doing a comprehensive homework study to look at survey data from teachers and how they implement homework and how they request homework from students. We're looking at data from students to find out how they respond to that homework. And we've got some of this data from Saratoga that's been collected from our guidance departments over the last few years. We're capturing some new data from Los Gatos now. And we're also reaching out to our feeder districts, to our parents, to the teachers in our feeder schools, because homework is not just a Los Gatos or a Saratoga thing. It really is a community thing. And it has to do with a lot of perceptions. And a lot of studies that we're finding about homework have some really different thoughts on what it really means. And there is no right answer, is what we're coming to find. There's no specific prescription for what the best homework is, but there are guidelines that we found that really support the best practices for students to achieve in the classroom. And so we're basically gathering that data, we're putting it together in a comprehensive report, and then we're going to present that as the S3 committee so that they can take a look at it and then share it with their teachers and staff, and so that they can make their own value judgment and their own kind of decisions on how they want to approach the homework question in their classroom. So that's a really great study that we're doing, and we'll have some more data on that. I'm sure we'll report to you guys in the fall when that comes back.
And finally, our last big project, hopefully for this school year, is we are, as a district, going Google. So what that means is by May 1st, every staff person's email will, instead of being an exchange in the cloud, is going to be transferred to Gmail. And we'll be using G Suite for Education fully. We already have Drive, we're already using Docs, but staff will now have their email also in Google. And in the fall, we are going to give every student a Google email address tied to the school that they will use to log into Canvas, Aries, and other accounts that we give them in class, whether it be the math program or best need for the library. So every student will have a school email that they can use to collaborate with teachers and their peers and share documents, and also as a way to keep a personal portfolio of all of their work through high school. And as part of that.
So the other thing too, and one of the big pieces about the Google that's really important to note is not only is it a more innovative and tech savvy kind of way to be teaching with paperless and all that for productivity, but a huge part of it is collaboration. And we really want to encourage more collaboration and sharing within the teachers across the schools. So we've gotten together some teachers who are willing to kind of step up to the plate, who are innovators, who are willing to collaborate and share with each other. And we would like to give them, first access to the Chromebook carts and things like that for their classrooms. So the idea is for them to pilot and to pave the way for them, for the other teachers in the future, where they can create a curriculum, share lesson plans, best practices, and help work out the kinks, because of course there'll be a good learning curve. And if we have teachers who are willing to share with each other, kind of help spread it a little bit more than just what I can do alone. So they are going to be given lots of opportunities for learning. And these are teachers who are gung-ho about trying new things and getting together more often than just our regular PD days. They also will be the first ones to get to go to conferences, and the idea is to really encourage that collaboration and super excited about. So anybody for me in the Google stuff. I think that's it.
Thank you, that was thorough and interesting. Questions? Cynthia?
So, the first question I have is about Canvas. It is great to hear that 99% of the teachers are now using it, but to different extent, right?
Yes.
So, what approach or what, how do I put it? Like, how do we encourage more teachers to join the group?
I think using Gradebook has helped a lot, and the more that the students engage in it and other colleagues use it, the more other teachers will try it. So I think just by using it and trying new things and offering more PD and individual training, we'll get all the teachers using it.
So school administrators, and I'm sure you guys will have access to kind of monitor what the status of each teacher, right? So I suppose, because I don't know much about Canvas, but I suppose you probably could have like a weekly report showing the usage, and then so some of the teachers, if are not using as much, maybe can get some extra help. How does that work?
But it's hard to keep using it enough. I mean, if you're putting assignments on it and you're posting your handouts, and then there are some teachers who are putting videos on, so there's a whole spectrum of using it. I think that everyone has got their syllabus on it, they're using the gradebook, and they posted an assignment. And, I'm working with other teachers to get more on there. And we also are doing it by modeling by example. I know both the admin teams have created pages for the staff where they can share documents with their staff. It's got the AD day calendar on there, and we've done that for the students as well. We've got like a class of 2020 course that all the students are in, and both of the guidance departments are posting things to those courses. So that instead of putting on our public website, we have private documents in there that the kids can see, and that's encouraging more people to get on and use Canvas, students, parents, and staff. Because it just
I think what we've been hearing a lot from the students is a timely feedback. So we have 2 student representatives here. You really see progress being made.
In terms of like the teachers getting in grades or
Yes.
using it, yeah. So yeah, in comparison to last year, definitely as well. Like all my teachers use it, and they're very responsive.
So that's how about Saratoga?
I think each year the popularity grows like exponentially.
Okay, all right, great. So the next question I have is regarding the homework page. So it's under what's new homework study. And for that spot is, like there's a section saying action plan, homework best practice 12, 14, 16. Goal, expected outcome to reduce stress for all students. Okay, is that only one of the outcome for this, or this is the only goal? I suppose for the homework best practice, in my mind, at least my own experience is like sometimes, like you have homework to help you to review the material, to have you get ready for the next class, So, but here, I'm just curious how many outcomes we have other than the reduced stress for our students.
Well, where this really comes from is that the S3 committee did some research and some polling and found a number of areas that the district as a whole was concerned about. And reducing student stress is a concern that we all have. And students continually cite that homework is an area of significant stress. So what we're looking at, and it is one goal of that subgroup. So again, there's many different aspects that are being tackled by S3. But within this subgroup, the one goal is how do we identify homework strategies that will then result in reduced stress for students.
But what other goals do you have? Well, this is the only goal.
This is the only goal for the subcommittee, but there's how many?
There's 5 prongs.
we kind of looked at what S3 has done over the years, what's been successful, we did some polling on concerns moving forward. This was one of them. Looking at kind of reimagining Valor was one of them. Looking at alternatives to suspension. Looking at aligning into counseling programs, transcripts, classes between the high schools. So when I bring an S3 report, those will all be presented to you, kind of work we've done in the year and where we're going. And I think this was included because there's so many members from the ILC team, just to kind of give you a little bit of glimpse of their involvement, not just in professional development, but some kind of initiatives like this.
So Cynthia, to your point, while this study falls under that area for S3, there are a variety of other outcomes that we hope to generate from the study.
Because in terms of reducing stress, I think coming to the board meeting could be a little stressful for me. You know, finish all the homework of studying the agenda items, you know. So I think for, I don't know, the ideal word is there's no stress, although sometimes the stress is good to get to really, work on the project which you might not be working on. And so I just want to make sure, because we heard stress a lot, and a lot of time we say we want to reduce stress, but then stress will always be there. After you finish your homework, there are other stress like the sports and all the other, your friends, your relationship, So for me, the homework, I just want to make sure homework is still a valuable tool to help our students with their studies. And I think one area I also have heard from students is sometimes, again, maybe different teachers have different style, but sometimes it's like repetition, may not be as effective way of doing the homework, but then again, that's why I think it's great you are studying the best practice. But my concern is I don't want to just say reduce stress because it's such a general term. For me, it's really try to teach our students how to cope with the stress, because after high school, they have college, they have graduate school, they have law school, medical school, and then the stress is, and they have work, it's just going to add up. And so that's the point I try to make. But you know what I mean.
I'm trying to figure out what you mean. I think though that what I heard was that there's going to be 5 or 6 other issues dealing with homework itself, the efficiency of homework, the amount of homework. I'm sure you're going to look at many of these things.
Is that part of it?
Yeah. What we're doing is gathering data, and ultimately the data is going to look, as Doug mentioned, it's going to look at the efficacy of, when is too much homework, much homework, when is too little, Right. We're going to look at studies, and this isn't just an issue that we're looking at. This is an issue that is a nationwide concern. And there are experts who are studying this, and we're going to look at their studies, and we're going to provide a report. And that's what the report will just share out a comprehensive summary of our nationwide data, professional surveys, our feeder school data, and our site data from each site.
Yeah.
And at that point, we'll look at that data and see what it says.
Yeah, and one concern I have is because different students have different styles. Some kids might be interrupted constantly when he or she is doing homework. Some might just be focusing on the homework. So then how you define, so for one kid it could be 6 hours, but the other one maybe 2 hours. So this is all the variables. I think it's hard to quantify. Because,
well, you know what, thank goodness we have professionals that are willing to tackle this subject and that are willing to gather the data and gather all of the nuances that go into homework to come up with a useful plan for our students.
That would be good.
So I think that's what their intent is. Catherine?
Well, actually, I wanted to say I'm really impressed, district for this ILC team. You especially, the homework study, for the data collection and then the research on that. I want to, applaud you guys for that one. And I don't know, maybe you're very modest because I already see some of the initial, some data you collected, from the student. I think it was presented at the guidance night. Maybe you can share with the rest of the board because I think you have an initial data, something like the student, like if you take the AP, calculus, average, hour, whatever. I think that's a good one, very valuable one, so the student can really engage, know how many classes you take, if this is the one, how many hours the homework you do. So maybe that thing we can share with all of us. I think, that's a great data because I already hear from some of the community students, they said, well, great, they see that one, so they can really, figure that out if they can really take 4 AP instead of, 2 AP, something like that. So I really impressed with that homework study. I mean, you are in the right direction, so hopefully you can share more of that with us on that
So
one.
when will we get a report? No, just kidding.
Well, it's going to be throughout the rest of the year, but it'll be next fall.
Okay.
Or this coming fall.
And I
Thank
also,
you.
yeah, and I'm also very impressed with our district going with the Google Suite because that's the thing, it's the future we keep talking about. We need to prepare our students for the 21st century, and we are heading into that direction. So I do have a question. So one question is about, we know 99% of our teachers being interactive with the campus. I think that's a great way we tour. And then I think we should. I mean, we're very happy to, at least me, very happy to see 75% of our teachers, from the presentation already, with that timely 3 weeks, feedback. And I just wondering if we have any specific plan or support system or the timeline to help those remaining 25% of the teachers who have not yet provided 3 weeks grade assessment updates on campus. Well, that's just a question. Maybe you guys can, see if you have anything later on, you can report that. But I just think, even though this is the 4th year, but we have so much of progress in this one, and we just have a little piece, we can, I don't know, to see if any way we can support on that one. And also I wanted to, learn more about the department collaboration. I think great we have 3 full-day and 4 half-day of collaboration. Maybe we can know more details about the departmental collaboration. As a board member, I think we visit only the La Scalo at this time yet. One school we haven't visited Saratoga, but I heard from one of the, I think the teacher talking about the teacher want the kids to, after the test, they can really learn, what's wrong with your test. So this teacher was having this policy, if you're willing to come back, show me the correct answer, and then in the tutorial time or whatever, I will give you half of the credit or something like that. Rather than just, you take the test, that's it. And they encourage them to go back to where you're doing wrong, and then if you make the effort to come back, then I'll give you, some credit for that one. So I don't know that kind of, I was thinking maybe with all the collaboration things, that is one way. I think that may also help the student to release their stress because after they have a terrible exam, they can go back to learn it and then, get a way to redeem themselves. So just my comment on that one. But thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, can I?
Yes, please.
So I want to say I'm actually really impressed and very excited by this entire report. I think it's all great. And on the Canvas thing, what I heard Julie say and what I think is important is that it's almost at this point like peer friction, right? Once you get the staff working on it and it becomes the culture of the school, then everybody will fall in line. And I applaud that way of doing it because I think if you try to force people or you're punitive to them or you're always hassling them, then it backfires. There's always going to be the older teachers, I think, that have more trouble, but I'm really excited that they have so much support. And interestingly, I was having a conversation with someone who used to work in our elementary district today, and she was talking about how they tried to bring in a lot of this stuff years ago in the elementary level without the support from the teachers, and it didn't go well. So I think that it doesn't work without a team like this, so I applaud everybody in the district and you all for doing it that way. And I also am very excited because they did get their act together in our elementary district, and so now there will be more of a continuation because I think they're using a lot of the Google stuff there, and they're trying to do the, BYO BYOC or whatever you call it. BYOD, is that it? Bring your own device. And I think I've been worrying about that it would stop at 8th grade, so I'm happy that it's gonna
Both of our
continue.
theater districts,
Yeah.
theater students, Google accounts, emails.
That's good.
So we're gonna continue on with that.
So actually, I'm very happy with that Google Suite because, as you said, that both of the feeder school students already know about that, and so moving to the high school where they can transform that information or whatever into the. So it's great, we're doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate the work you put into this, and we look forward to the next report, whatever that should be. Thank you. Enjoy
Thank
the
you all
rest of
very
your
much.
evening.
And Nicole, thank you so much.
Bob?
Yeah, now I have to try to top them. That's the first students. But luckily I have Greg and Phillips helping.
Great.
Your competitors.
The next is facility
Thanks,
use
guys.
fees and our board policy.
Yeah. So we've prepared for you kind of a first look at some proposed changes that we're looking at for our facility rental process and fees, and also a first look at our board policy 1330 and what we're going to suggest moving forward. So, give me just a second. Okay, so our goal this evening, and there's a lot of things for us to cover, so we are very comfortable in really slowing this down and taking a time, making sure that everyone understands where we're heading with this. Primary goal is that we've had a lot of discussion about our facilities and our facility use over the last year. And so we want to ensure the priority use of our school facilities for our students. And that's our number one reason for looking at our facilities and our facility fees moving forward. We also, we've discussed several times the secret requirements related to our newest fields on both campuses. And there's been some changes to facility use in relation to the Civic Center Act. And so we'll be incorporating and discussing some of those with you tonight. So what we've done here is just kind of outlined the user groups, as we're calling them, are the groups that are using our facilities, either for-profit, nonprofit, and our own internal use. We're going to talk to you a little bit about fee comparison. What are a few comparable high school districts are charging for their fees, and what that looks like in comparison to ours. We're going to talk to you about our replacement cost. We've been talking a lot about that and what it's going to cost. It's the good and the bad. We've got brand new facilities and brand new fields, but 10 years out, probably it's somebody else's responsibility, but all of ours. What's that going to cost, and how are we saving money to replace those fields? We're going to talk to you for the first time about staff cost. We haven't been charging a full fare for the use of our facilities for our custodial fees, so we're going to be talking about that. Our use application information, and then a first reading of our board policy, which I mentioned, and proposed fees reading. Moving to March 28th, again, this depends on how the discussion goes and how many questions that the board has. If we're able to reach agreement, then we'll move forward with our second reading of the board policy, and then ask the board for for approval of our board proposed fees. And then if not, we can move over and we can discuss this in our April 18th meeting, and ask the board to take action at that point.
How many times do we usually do, like the readings?
We would do a report and then an action.
Right, okay, so
But
you're
you can do
just
several
adding that
reports.
extra one.
Right, and
Just
the
in
board
case.
can then direct us from this meeting to go ahead and provide more information, to spend more time with the board on any of these items.
Facility
Okay.
fees.
I see. Sure.
So, as I mentioned, our grouping that we have currently you can see, and you've had an opportunity to look at this. I'm not going to read all of that to you, but it gives you an opportunity to look to see how other districts have grouped their Group 1, which is basically our internal use. Everyone that uses our facilities that is a district entity is in that first group for us. And we broke it out initially as Group 1 and Group 1A. We'll talk a little bit when we get to the proposed language, what we're suggesting moving forward. Again, a look at our Group 2, Palo Alto's Group 2, and MVLA's Group 2. Not significant changes at all between the two groups, just a little different way to cut basically the same language. Same thing with Group 3. We jumped to the for-profit organizations that we have in our groupings, and that's how the other districts deal with their for-profit. But it'll give you an idea, the last time we looked at our language, Jazzercise is listed in there. Which
That's how long ago it was?
That's how long ago it was, yeah. The best we're able to determine, the last time we looked at facilities was in the early 2000s, so it's been at least 15 years since we've looked at our facility fees and our board policy.
I have a question. Like, if you say for nonprofit, but if this nonprofit is actually for-profit, how you define?
Okay, let me get through and we can go back. I appreciate the question because it does get a little confusing. So we currently have no Group 4. Several of our comparables have a Group 4. And they break it out into camps and activities that are specific to those districts. We haven't felt the need to do that, so we haven't created a Group 4. But we just want to kind of give you an overall general overview of how other districts deal with some of their groupings. So as we look at our group comparisons and our Group 1, our proposed language is basically just to roll 1A and 1 together so that we're dealing with all internal use of our facilities, which we are not charging any, and we're not suggesting to charge any facility or rental fees for. That's all of our internal use. Group 2, which is the nonprofit group, and you can see our old listings, our current listings. What we're suggesting is roll that into a little bit simpler language, deal with the nonprofit issue, dealing with the 501c3s, and then what we're suggesting to say current with the Civic Center Act, youth organizations, including sports leagues that charge participants no more than $60 per month. That's specific language from the Civic Center Act, and I think both of these guys can probably talk a little bit more about how that relates to the for-profit, nonprofit piece. So.
And yes, so Cynthia, that kind of goes to your, what I think your thought might have been, which is even if the group technically is nonprofit and a 501c3, this gives us the continued option to kind of make a bifurcation again beyond just saying nonprofit or for-profit, looking to actual dollar amounts charged to participants. And so this is perfect language for us within the Civic Center Act, and again lets us give us some more options in terms of how we can.
It really is dealing with club entities that are using our facilities. Many of them do charge well over $60 a month, and we'll just use an example. Pop Warner charges less than that. So that's where the distinction the Civic Center Act makes.
Okay.
As we look at our current Group 3, there's Jazzercise again, I keep reading that. What we're proposing is just a cleanup of the language, add in civic organizations, but again, what we're suggesting is more than $60 per month. We'll then put that, whoever that user is, into the Group 3 category, not for the nonprofit category. And basically, the other language is just more current with today's vernacular as far as facilities. Yes?
Okay, so question for the...
My fault, my bad. Can we just...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought you wanted to ask questions.
Not until the end.
We have currently no Group 4, and what we're proposing is a proposed Group 4 that says for-profit businesses, youth sport clubs, adult sports leagues, and youth camps. So it's specific to those organizations that use our facilities, and we'd like to signal those out separately as a Group 4. When we talk about the board policy, what we're proposing is a minor change, but it is a change, that we give preference to, after we get through and everyone's in a group and we've determined who those groups are, we give preference to our long-term renters, a renter with existing campus-based and district-approved coaching relationship with a significant number of our high school students in their program. That's specifically someone who's coaching for us that also is running a club organization. We want to be able to give them preference in using our facilities because they're also working with a significant number of our students in whatever that sport is. And then the third item is a renter with significant number of our high school students in their organization. That wouldn't necessarily be someone that's coaching for us. And a renter with significant number of students from our feeder schools. And all of those are based on what we believe to be best practice related to the Civic Center Act.
So you are using that $60 as a threshold?
Correct.
To
The Civic Center actually uses that.
Civic Center.
Either side of $60.
So even if a nonprofit, if really are making profit, we.
Can we just hold that for a second?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. I thought it was.
Thanks, Bob.
I thought Greg was looking at me.
Philip,
Sorry.
are you?
Maybe my impression, we're all kind of, all three of us on all the sides. This is just some more clarification about notes. So there will be, right now, both sites do a commendable job with trying to get as much paperwork related to users as possible. We will definitely make sure that we continue to kind of keep our records up to date going forward. And whatever comes out, how we distinguish groups, we're going to make sure that all our paperwork is in line. This chart, and again, Mr. English did a great job of all this data. This is gives us a comparison this time around specifically to Palo Alto, just a little bit kind of easier to compartmentalize things. The current Group 1 is basically kind of rates as defined right there, and then again, how to read this, then the second and third category column, but the second and third groups are a different number, again, in line with what we believe is more of a fair value. And these areas are just simply the different places that are potentially available for rent. And then, as Bob mentioned earlier too, we're going to make kind of the bright line distinction going forward about personnel-related fees, including custodial fees if we're in a classroom, or grounds fees if we're on a field, and even food service team members if we're using or the kitchens for that matter. And then, of course, an application fee.
Philip, could you walk us through this next couple slides then, because you were pretty helpful putting those together. Thanks.
Again, I think at this point we're trying to give you some perspective on the changes to the Civic Center Act, provide an actual formula and a spreadsheet to calculate all the fees out. So this is roughly what they asked you to, more significantly longer, but takes a look at replacement costs and maintenance costs for facilities as opposed to just custodial fees. So just as an example, about a year ago, I think Greg brought forward kind of a template for us to consider as we start looking forward to replace the turf. And so with this slide, let's just say that the football field would cost $1.1 million to replace the turf, assuming a 5% escalation over the 10-year life expectancy of the turf. It ends up being almost $1.8 million to replace that turf at the end. And so if we did a simple comparison of what that breaks down to hours per use, or cost per hour of use, if you did it 7 days a week, 7 hours a day for 365 days a year, it would cost about $70 an hour.
Just to replace the.
Just to replace the turf. So you look back at some of the fees that are being proposed, it gives you some kind of benchmark information. Again, a lot of what we're presenting today is data, and it's for consideration, it gives you background, and it just gives some perspective to everything that we're trying to do. The bottom two categories, weekdays and weekends, just goes to a smaller consideration. During the weekday, we probably only have 3 hours of turf available, from 6 to 9, for example, to use the field for an outside user, and then maybe up to 10 hours on a weekend. So you can see that those costs would jump to $98 an hour for a user to do the replacement.
So the big picture-wise, the concept on this slide like this, is again, hand in hand with the turf as an example, and we did see this last April when we were making decisions related to the lower fields. Scale-wise, on a per-hour basis, the things add up pretty quickly in terms of raw value. By the way, this is across a decade. This also assumes kind of a decade's worth of use just to get back to kind of the cost numbers. So, as Phil said, when we see the chart that's on the next slide, it gives just a little frame of reference for how much of a value even our proposed chart remains.
So here we're trying to provide a first look at potential fee rates for the different portions of our facilities. And you can see there's some increases. We found that by going through the benchmarks, some of the facilities were kind of offline, not line with what our peer groups are doing, particularly like gymnasiums. Undervalued in our rental sheets, rental rates compared to some of our peers. But most of the other facilities generally are in line. Not a topic that's sort of for tonight's conversation, but ones that are kind of anomalies and being like the pools and the McAfee Auditorium, which are kind of neat and large pieces that are a little different to deal with than most of the classroom space. Again, we've done turf and new areas that are up here, applaud in Saratoga High School.
Where's the swimming pool at both high schools?
The swimming pool is the vision is that it's not on a list like this, because for all intents and purposes, both swimming pools are 100% used. So basically, in any kind of enhanced kind of usage, concurrent usage, like for instance at Saratoga's pool, this Los Gatos Rec at this pool, the DACA organization at the Saratoga pool, it's really more concurrent use. So there really isn't, in my opinion, the need to place the pool on this chart, because no one would come to us and say, we want to get the pool for
1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's more like package deal.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we can break this out a couple different ways. If you want to talk first about the users and how that relates to the note and the change to the board policy, and then we can deal with the actual fees themselves. So if we start with the users, I think that will lead us into the facility piece. So,
Any questions about the users?
Yeah, I have the question regarding the, under group 1, we have 1A, which is, okay, under group 1A, this is like the third slide.
our current grouping is what you're looking at.
Current grouping, yeah.
I think it's the fourth slide.
Fourth, yeah. So under group 1A, we have our feeder school district. And we have department-sponsored event. That means it's, this is Los Gatos Saratoga Recreation Department-sponsored event.
Yeah, if you think of group 1 as all of our internal use and our feeder schools.
Right, but I'm just curious because I know like Los Gatos, we have some kind of working relationship with Los Gatos Recreation Department.
We are also on their board as a
Yeah, which is why they're in that group one, and they've always been in the first group.
Yeah, isn't it the Los Gatos
Yes.
Saratoga?
Yes.
It is the Los Gatos Saratoga Recreation Park.
Recreation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Los Gatos Saratoga Recreation, which you serve on their board.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So the question I have is because they also use the pool, right? But because we have a memo of understanding with them.
Correct.
So the fee structure is, we are not, I just try to understand.
Different for the pool, correct?
Yeah,
Right, so
completely different.
how,
Significant investment.
right, so how we are, we did sign a memo of understanding. I just wonder, what's the expiration date of that agreement? Or are we going to do some renegotiation? Because although they are partnered with us, just like Metro Ed, we are also associated with Metro Ed.
Correct.
But they will not be under this group. I just want to understand.
Yeah, so I think that that's a whole separate, that's actually a whole separate presentation or an individual discussion with each of you, because I think you probably do need to understand that unique relationship. I don't know that we're prepared to do that this evening because it is kind of complicated.
Right,
But
but
it
this
is
is
it's a separate agreement for the use of the pool, and they're in-kind contributions to that pool along the way. And Doug, you probably know some of the background as well.
It's a separate contract,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't fit here.
And they wrote a 7-figure check when we redid the
Right, so that's an area I think we need to understand it, but,
Sure.
but I think by having this group 1A here, what other than the usage of the swimming pool at Los Gatos High School, what other event they
The Los
sponsor?
Gatos Saratoga Rec Department uses our facilities quite a bit. They use our facilities and our fields during the summer.
Oh.
They use classroom space, the community room, which they are basically part owner of.
They use the community room from 3:30 on every weekday and the school facilities on weeknights.
So if they use our facility over the summer, they will not be charged?
No, we do have an agreement with them. They pay us for the use of our facilities. It isn't fair market value. It's an agreement that we have with them through the years about what our facilities cost us, and it is time for us to review that as well.
Right, so.
And as a result of this, I've already let the director know that we will be having that discussion.
Okay, that's fine,
to
that's
review
all I
our
want to
fees.
find out.
Well,
Okay.
so actually, no, I have a question about that then. So if we charge them, why are they in group one? Because group one, I thought, were people that we don't charge.
Right.
One of the difficulties we have here is that the categorization by group has multiple meanings. And part of that is also prioritization for who gets first rounds of use. So it's kind of difficult to balance or to lump that all together, but it's kind of in keeping with what we've done in the past and what the peer groups are doing. And again, those are special relationships that you have with Los Gatos Rec. DACA probably falls into the same category for the pool at Saratoga, and so those are unique.
Well, no, I can understand the pool because this whole fee structure doesn't address the pool at all, so that makes sense to me. But if we're talking about other use, if they used our other facilities at no charge, then this would all make sense to me. But it doesn't make sense to me if we charge them. So I'm just thinking in the
Yeah.
future, we're all
Should be a
gone.
different
If someone looks at this
I
thing,
understand
they're
what
not
you're saying.
gonna know why
There's a
these people never
prioritization
fit.
piece to the groups, and then there's a fee structure.
Right,
piece
so
to
we
the
need
groups.
to distinguish that for
But
that
right,
group.
I was gonna say, but here, it says group, I mean, unless I'm reading this wrong, there is a charge for.
Not on
No,
that.
but we are trying to combine.
But
Are we
still.
are we charging group one? Because on your
Certain
proposed
things.
fee schedule, there is no charge
So let's
for
take a
group
look
one.
at what.
If you look on the proposed.
Let's
fee
take a look at
schedule,
what.
Oh, right,
proposed.
there's no
Yeah.
charge for group
Right,
one.
right.
I
And
just
so,
assumed.
and also 1A is included, is going to be combined with group one,
Yeah, if you look at
right?
their proposed on the
Right.
right side, that's what we're.
Right, that's,
Yeah,
I
right,
see your
yeah.
point.
So was your point that we would not charge group one anything?
Even though we
perfect
have been
example of why
charging
we
them.
as a-
But we haven't really been charging, it said, the old fee structure had group one charges, but we weren't charging like Coleman School Club or PTSO or anybody.
But some of them we were.
But we were charging Los Gatos Saratoga
Yes,
Right.
certain
Minimum,
things.
not-
Well,
not-
the $21.
yeah, but still, we are
So the
charging.
overall
them.
agreement that we have with them. But you're right, there is a crossover between what's the priority group and then what's the charge. But I would
Right.
say as a general rule, 99% of everyone else that's in group one is not paying any fees because that's us.
Right.
That's us.
Right, so maybe Los Gatos Saratoga Rec needs to either have
Maybe
that
we should
story
put them
that
to group
explains,
two.
or maybe they need their
That
own.
was part of the
thing.
concept of the group 1A component, but we'll refine that.
Okay, we can refine that.
Yeah.
Right,
That's-
and also, I have a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already.
And then I think, I also like to, I think Bob mentioned about we're going to, not this one, but then we are going to, in the near future, going to look at, what have the contract with that, because oftentimes, I have no idea, because I think even when the DACA situation come up, we try to understand, what's going on. I still don't know what kind of relationship. I know they help us with that 7-figure, but over the year, if we, all these things, how far we are from that, and then how much we still own. I mean, we still wanted to keep the good relationship, but it's probably good to look at this
Review,
one
and that's
and
what
review.
Bob
So
was saying.
I like that idea.
Because I think even with Saratoga High School's pool, I think City of Saratoga did help out also, as I remember, That's how we offer the community swimmer program,
So,
And
so to tie up the Los Gatos Saratoga rec piece of this, maybe they're a better fit in the second group because we are charging them.
Right.
We do have a special relationship which
Yes,
kind of gives
yes,
them a
right.
priority
Yeah.
piece, but they kind of straddle both lines.
Yeah.
right.
I would just say in the current language there, Group 1A, any of those organizations might have to pay under certain circumstances. And so I don't think the rec department stands out there, and they're all supportive educational groups. And so, I think that the past practice has been a good situation for all involved. And what we've tried to do is with the Group 1A is to provide them with as much use of the facilities without interfering with high school activities. And we've done a pretty good job of that over the years. And so I think we need to be careful about the proposed language there. I think is just fine next to that. I don't think you have to delineate where every penny comes from. But I think that there's an understanding that those groups will help to pay costs. It's just not going to be a market value.
But there's no
There
fee
was no
structure
fee structure for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I think the
Do
clarification.
the feeder school district also
You
pay
gotta have it one way or
for?
the other.
Yeah.
So how about the feeder school district? When they use our McAfee Center, Saratoga Union, do they pay for it?
There are records of donations, kind of, maybe to Doug's point.
They probably pay for custodial fees and those sorts of things, the way these groups pay here at Los Gatos High School. And so, just like I say, costs involved.
Right, I think it would make sense to have a fee schedule for Group 1 that
One
just
A.
says at the discretion, to be charged at the discretion of the district.
Yeah,
So
1A.
You
I
have
think
it.
that's kind of the understanding.
Right,
You're
but
right.
you don't have.
Understanding is-
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Can't talk.
And maybe as a board, you would agree that the cost for them would be a custodial cost, not a rental fee.
Right. So I'm all right leaving it in Group 1 if we have a fee structure for Group 1.
Okay.
But if we have no fee structure for Group 1, then I think we have a little bit of an issue.
Okay,
with
so
our
we need to have some note in there that there will be.
But when you say custodian fee, that's the personnel only, but how about utility and others? Because we are not trying to charge them the replacement piece, but I'm just thinking like the basic.
You cannot do that because it's, like the other renter, you charge either the room, that's, I think, assuming
Yeah, no.
mentality about
Right,
it. And then so
right.
if you have a custodian, it's just two categories, you cannot charge another thing for the facility, the PG, the whatever.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, in order to cover, I understand it's a partnership relationship we have with our feeder school district and also the recreation department. But when you are looking into it, because I feel much more comfortable if we have things down, planned out in writing. Because I think when you say, if it's the understanding, whatever we understand as this board here, or administrators, 5 years from now, people might have different understanding. So I just, you know,
On the next reading, we'll bring in, yes,
Okay.
all the criteria that are relevant in terms of kind of that helpful contribution that was.
Right.
But you do understand our current user groups has none of that spelled out. So
right, I know,
if we're gonna
we are
add-
trying to
Yeah.
fix it,
Yes. Okay.
right. And I thank you guys for what you are doing. I think
Great.
this is good.
I think this is good. It's like a, you know, it's long overdue. We haven't even looked at it.
So-
Okay. Catherine has a question.
And I do think, and I don't completely agree with what was just said. I think that these are complex issues, and I think that we need to have language that does not limit us in one way or another, but is still equitable.
Has
And I think what we had to begin with was just about as equitable and protective of our students and their activities as one possibly could be. And so I want to make sure that we don't lose that.
Right.
There needs to be some level of flexibility, and I get it, you want to have everything spelled out, but I think there needs to be some generic things in there as well.
Would you suggest then keeping the group 1A and moving that under the proposed language?
If that would have a fee, then that would make sense.
Another consideration we could put on the table is that we just have a special note attached to the recreation district.
But
Can you
it's
say
not
that
just the
louder?
recreation district, now we're saying sometimes maybe we would charge feeder districts or anybody in this group 1A group.
And you could come back, we could come back with a category 1 or group 1 cost, and Frank proposed that. And then you could also say that quite honestly, because you have an agreement with Los Gatos Sarasota Recreation Department, that's a unique situation, and just simply note that.
Right.
And so each time that agreement comes up for
Renewal.
conversation, there's a chance to renew that conversation. But probably having something for category 1 probably makes sense.
Okay, well, let's take a cut at
Wait.
that. So I think I've got the, go ahead, Rosemary, I'm sorry.
No, it's Catherine has a question.
Okay, I have a question, thank you. I have a question on group number 2.
Okay, so before we leave 1, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one is, I got
Yeah.
one.
So you want to,
Okay, we'll take a crack at 1
Yeah.
based on the feedback. Okay, so 2, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So the 2, the proposed one is nonprofit youth-oriented event sponsor. So this group with the 501(c) status. So those are with that group. Or another group could qualify for this one is a youth organization like you mentioned about the Pop Warner, if they don't charge like a $60 per month.
Sure.
So it's either, right? If you
Could be a for-profit if they charge a small amount.
Okay.
I have actually just one question, because you have category 4 and you say not applicable. And for other schools, it's camps and stuff. It's right, and youth camps. I was going to say that's good, because I know that at least I think I have seen camps on that front lawn.
But camps are kind of listed in group 3 too, so I was confused by that. Where did I see there were camps? Maybe I made that up. Oh, you know what, it was in the current, sorry.
So to answer your question about the camps, they're 99% of them are run by the rec department.
That's what I figured, yeah, but still.
Unless they're our own
Yeah.
football camp or something else
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I mean, and you have it covered, so.
Yeah. So group 2 looks like it's
Yeah,
workable?
group 2 is good.
Okay.
But so we heard earlier, we have like track meet for 9,000 people showing up. So event like that, at Los Gatos High School, and I know Saratoga has like CMEA event using McAfee Center, so event like that, how, it's like I think it's free of charge because it's more like the department.
No, they pay for it.
No, they pay for it.
They pay fees.
So CMEA, they will also pay for it? If there's,
You mentioned the track meet that happened on Saturday. That's run by the Kiwanis Club in Bellarmine High School, and they pay the full fees to use the track.
okay, but like say Saratoga Music Department has, they have CMEA coming, like use the facility for the whole weekend.
I'm gonna have to turn to these guys because I know CMA, it's a national organization and they have to provide certainly facility fees to host these events. So I don't know currently what we're getting when CMA comes in. Maybe you guys don't even.
It's a non-profit.
We can find out that exactly.
Okay, this is great. I think we are just really.
And that's also, I believe, well, we will find out the exact example. I'm actually pretty sure that there is a fee associated with that event. And then secondarily, that's another kind of complex one because our own music department is
part of that.
So
Yeah,
that
that's
kind of
yeah.
involves
You
that.
know what, that's similar to an analogy might be if we have, we make the playoffs in football and we have a home football game.
Right.
The Central Coast section takes the gate.
Yes.
They give us a certain amount of money to operate the game,
Very
period.
little.
And so
Very little.
we're in a cooperative relationship with them. My guess is it's the same situation here.
And you could stretch that, so when we've had a couple of national robotics events
Right.
at Saratoga High.
Right, that's our.
They don't come in and there's no fee that we have necessarily associated with that because
Right.
they're a nonprofit and those are some things that we probably need to clarify as
Right.
we move forward.
So for example, like if we sponsor like a Saratoga High School, the student and the robotic club sponsor that, so they are kind of like associated with our students. So that should be in group A, not supposed to be charged on that.
No, but those group coming in, if it's organized, even though we are sponsoring it, we still need that outside organization provide the proof of insurance
Right.
and everything
Okay, yeah,
else.
yeah.
So it's not like,
I think you see the slippery slope here is that there are several national organizations that are then benefiting our students,
Right.
that our students are participating in.
Right.
So that's a whole nother
It's a
category of
priority.
discussion that we need to.
Right.
So-
okay.
Right, so.
Okay, going to group 3. Questions, concerns, I think that kind of sums up some of the changes to the Civic Center Act and where we'd like to head. Okay. I'm sorry. And group 4,
When you say individuals requesting, I'm sorry, I'm back to
Back to
number
group
3.
three.
Individuals requesting facilities for personal use. Again, the individual has to provide this
All of those.
proof of
Yeah,
insurance
this
and everything.
goes hand in hand with all the paperwork.
Okay, all right. Just okay, so we won't have just.
and our group 4, which we don't have, we're proposing that language for for-profit businesses.
Okay.
Now, one of the key elements for us in this board policy 1330 is this note, because it gives us plenty of flexibility to make the determination for it gives the principals plenty of flexibility, which is what we want to provide them. So dig into this if you want, or do you understand what we're trying to propose with this? And I think this really works for us.
I'm for giving the priority or additional consideration for our campus, existing campus-based coaching, because it's very hard to find those coach after 3:30, and then I know several of the sport have the struggle to find the right one. So this will give those coaches some incentive in attracting the good coach on that one. So for them, what kind of they will belong to which group, and do they get a special rate on that or what?
We're talking about group 4 now, right?
Okay.
They're for-profit organizations, they're for-profit club organizations,
So it's
but
a
what we're
group
saying is, we're gonna give them priority use of our
That's
facilities.
not fee related, that's
Correct.
priority.
Okay, that's
Exactly.
priority.
Yeah.
Okay, so and they
Two
will fall
separate
into depends on their status, either the group 3 or 2.
The group is their group, but then this gives priority.
Group 4 is well thought out, I think.
Thank you. We're gonna require them to pay fees. Even if they coach for us.
But you may give them
Yeah.
priority
And
depending
they
on
should,
their.
and they
Yes,
should,
they should.
right? They are
And
using.
the biggest
because it's-
difference here is the proliferation of club teams for almost every high school sport. And the Civic Center has not really kept up with it. There's $60 distinctions here on the and so that's what gives us the ability to have and access to the
Way back.
fields is the biggest one.
No, that's,
Okay.
I have this note.
The next is the proposed notes. I think what we're
So,
proposing.
excuse me, so
Yeah.
the teachers cannot use the classroom to do private tutoring?
No.
No.
It's not accepted? Or music instruction?
That's an
No private.
No private? Okay, I just want to.
No, I understand the can of worms there.
Okay.
Not if they're charging for it, not
Yeah.
if they're charging fees.
Okay, all right.
I think that's fairly self-explanatory, but if you have any questions about that slide, that's more of our internal, what we're proposing is that we have a district mechanism for organizing this data and then making sure that the funds stay segregated so that they're in a place where we're looking at that long-term rental liability. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so are we going to the rate right now, or?
Sure. The actual rate itself, not the review?
Fee,
Okay,
fee.
let's go to the rate then. Proposed fee schedule? Okay.
Okay, so this confuses me right off the bat because the current group 2 is actually the current group 1.
One, yes.
Okay, good. So we're not comparing group 2 with group 2 here, we're comparing proposed group 2 with current group 1.
No, wait,
If you
what are we
look back,
talking about?
if you look back on your benchmarks, the numbers you have in there are from group 1,
Oh, good.
not group 2. So
Right.
we're not
Yeah.
comparing the right things.
No, we're not.
So I think what's going on is sort of two things. The group 1 and the new language for group 1, that's the same group 1. If our old chart was associated with like a charge to group 1, which is that slide 2 slides ago, none of the previous group 1 fees groups paid those fees. It was really started with the second and third tiers.
Right, but we're not, literally, the numbers that you have in here where it says group 2 are the numbers on the previous one that
Right.
say group 1.
That's what
That's
confused
true.
me
The numbers
before.
Why aren't we comparing to the current group 2? Why are we comparing
We
to the group
took
1?
a source of a number and now are applying it to
No, but
group 2.
I see.
No,
I understand your question.
there's some miscommunication
There
here,
is,
but I don't
yeah.
know what it is.
Because if you go to the benchmark page,
Right,
Correct.
that says rate
okay,
for group
okay, answer my
one.
question.
I don't have a great answer. I need to look back at the background data.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe it just got the
Maybe.
wrong
Maybe I have
column,
the wrong-
was
maybe I have
put
the
in there
wrong
by
numbers.
mistake, the
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
Could be
Or
that
put in
type
there.
of the benchmark.
Okay.
By mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, the fee review number 2 could be
Just
all
leave the
Okay.
benchmark
I
stuff out.
typed on the
Because on the
benchmark.
benchmark, interestingly, we have group 2/3,
Right.
and they're considerably higher. So so if you look at classroom for group 2/3, it's $42. And on the proposed, it's $25 for group 2, and then 42 for 3. So you decided to split those.
Yeah.
So you're not,
Because we have,
so you're really putting group 2 more in, maybe that's why you did it, that you really want group 2 to have fees more like our current group 1? Is that what you're saying?
No, with
Go-
current
let me
group
make
one,
this up.
they
Yeah,
don't
I
pay
don't
that.
wanna-
No, like our current group 1. We had a fee structure for current group 1. Now, proposed group 1 is
There's
not
nothing.
gonna pay anything.
The
That's what
previous
this
And group
says.
2 is
Yeah.
gonna pay something similar to current group 1.
That's
I have that
correct.
right?
That's correct, yes.
So why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Because right now, none of these groups
Pay anyway?
pay.
Even group
So
2
even we
right
have
now
the number,
doesn't pay.
nobody pays.
To some extent, yes.
Okay, that's nice.
I think that we want to provide a little bit more structure to that
Okay.
process, and that's part of what this conversation is
Who was
about,
group
is-
2 again,
See,
nonprofit?
see, this is the current group 1, we don't pay.
So let me
But
see if
now
I
right
can,
you have that.
Proposed group 1 isn't gonna pay
Right.
either.
Right.
But
Are you looking at the proposed fee schedule for current group 2?
We can, yes.
Our proposed increase, does that seem in line with?
It's
what-
not an increase, it's
And
actually a
the reason why it's
decrease.
not, so to your point, it's a crosswalk. So using the civic center language of the $60 a month piece, the proposed group 2 is really, doesn't have a lot of money. So the concept is really making that bright line distinction between.
I'm not saying I have a problem with the $25, I'm saying it's not an increase, it's a decrease.
No, it's from 21 to.
Because we used to charge group 2.
Right.
Where's that number? We used to, and maybe we never actually charged them this, but according to your fee structure, we charged them $42.
Right.
No, this
Group
is the
2,
fair
3.
rental. This is like a 21. We used to
That's
charge
what for
21.
group 1.
Group 2
You know,
and
I
3.
think that maybe you better go back and
Right.
redo this,
Yeah.
and we'll
So then it-
revisit
we
it
have to
at
have the next
another,
meeting.
at the
It's
next
hard to
meeting,
compare
because
what
this
you're-
is
Yeah.
What you want to
very,
do.
very
Yeah,
confusing.
I agree. I second.
I mean, really, if you, well,
And I
have it in your
have a good
head.
understanding of what I don't understand, and I'd be happy to sit down with one of you and explain it, so that then you can tell me either what I'm missing, or what you're missing, or maybe
Well,
what each of us are
and I'm
missing.
missing it
I think
too.
that- And I think you touched on it, Robin, like, what you're really seeing at group 1 compares to our proposed group 2 numbers.
Right.
That's the real apples to apples comparison. What's listed here is numbers for groups 2 and 3 compares to our group 3 in the new fee
Right.
schedule. And so I think that's the real kind of alignment. if
So
you
maybe
will.
we just
But
need to
because we
change
have
our
different
Yeah.
terminology
Change
for
that,
group 1, 2,
yeah,
and 3.
column heading or
Yeah.
something.
Correct, and because we have different.
Maybe we
call-out-
can have,
Yeah.
current group 1 and this is proposed group 1,
Yeah.
what's the number, so we can side by side, we know
Yeah,
what's
so
that.
current group 1 is 21, but now we're gonna be nothing.
So maybe
So
we
let's
should,
do
should
it.
we wait, can we talk
Can we-
about, can we
yeah.
redo it and talk about
Yes,
it?
absolutely, that's my
And I think
proposal.
if you redo it like that, then I'll
Yeah.
get it.
I understand.
And, you know, we're happy to come in.
I think what we're
2
trying
by
to do
2.
is get some feedback also just generically on the
Well,
numbers.
you
But
got
I
it.
do actually would like to ask, and this is not a judgment, just a question. We are coming in lower than like Palo Alto or, than Palo Alto, I guess that's the other one, right?
Yeah.
And is it, are you thinking that's just because, why? We're further down the peninsula, so we should charge a little less?
We
We are.
have some things. Palo Alto had recently taken a crack at some of their fees, so it was just we were just kind of working through a concept, kind of from where we are, if these proposed charts really got implemented, which they will,
Right.
there will be a sea change of kind of revenues that comes in, so that.
Let me respond to
Yeah.
Robin's. I think since we have not increased these fees
Yeah.
for a long period of time,
Right.
Right.
it would be a complete shock
Too much sticker shock.
to all of
Yeah.
a sudden, and so my thinking is that irregardless of what Mountain View or Palo Alto are
Right,
charging,
right.
I think we need to be not. It doesn't. I don't mean gradual, but I think we need to be realistic and be sure that we don't destroy programs that we've supported for a long period of time. And so there definitely needs to be an increase. Does it need to go to the highest level at this point now?
And also the community relationship, right?
Well, that was our thought when we kind of picked
Yeah,
a
okay,
spot.
that's,
that we
again, I
wanted.
wasn't judging, I just wanted to know
Yeah, I
what the
understand.
rationale.
But could we perhaps, as we're doing with the pool, is saying this is our cost to you for year 1 and 2. Then in year 3, we're gonna go up $2 or something.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
look at this as
Yeah.
many times as you want, or we could have an escalation. I guess trying to keep it simple, since we haven't done it since the
Yeah.
early 2000s.
But I still think that they should know that
coming.
it's not gonna be for another 15 years. We
Yeah,
done it once, but now we
Yeah,
know
maybe we should
that
put
we
in there that we're gonna review
an
it.
escalation.
Yeah,
Sure.
every 2
These
years or
fees
something.
good for
Right.
X years.
Yeah,
years.
and just,
So regarding the, this is under fee review, benchmark, and district office. And there's a line saying custodian fee, rate at $50 per hour. But it's, each year we give a raise, it's going to go up,
This,
right?
I made this calculation. This attempts to capture kind of an average total compensation wise, because this is not just about their hourly rate. This says, you know,
Benefit.
components and a brand new custodian versus.
And contribution, the pension contribution in the future.
The business offices come all the way.
So, and I don't know that you necessarily need to escalate that. You could just do that at each time you look. I just want to be real clear, though. That's a distinction currently. Most of our users are not paying that.
No,
Right.
that's
They're
the
not.
same thing.
And so if you're looking at additional cost, the 27 to 25 is not that big, but that is a huge hit for most of our users because they're not paying that. We're absorbing that because we have custodians at night, we have custodians during the day, and we even have weekend custodians. So just be clear, that's the number that people are really going to look at, and that's where they'll get the sticker shock. Are we okay with that?
The people that, just to, not to make it any more complicated, but the people that are used to using our facilities for the large events, they're used to paying custodial fees. The smaller things that happen, just as you say, Bob, the custodians that are on duty take care of it in most instances. But the big things, I'll refer to the track meeting again on Saturday. There's at least 2 shifts of custodian that cover that.
And then the payroll generates.
And they're paid for it by the group that rents the theater.
Like for example, Saratoga High School and Chinese School on
I was going to bring
Saturday.
that up as an example.
Yeah,
So
do they pay custodian fee?
they're currently not paying
But
custodian.
they have a hourly rate, which we negotiated with
What
them.
they have is similar to what we have with DACA, is they have a contract that's separate from this.
Yes,
So
okay.
what I would suggest is we have to take a look at that too. That's
Yeah.
another layer. So
Right.
do we want to have these side agreements and separate contracts with users? Or do we want to treat everyone the same that's using our facilities?
I'd say the second one.
Well, and the Chinese school, just to remind us back to the Chinese school would specifically fall
What category do they fit into?
2 or 3.
would specifically fall under this blue box, so as a long-term renter. And yes.
As far as priority.
As far as priority, right, but not in
Right.
group.
True, so. I need to go on a turn on them to say that they do have a contract similar to DACA. I was trying to build up the DACA example. And they have been on notice since last year that the contract is going to be revisited as to total cost. For all intents and purposes, they are on our campus 1/7 of the week. And so if we were to look at it like that, the numbers get very large.
So you potentially would give them like a volume discount.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And that's why you would negotiate a deal separately.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that makes sense.
And so maybe you do keep that.
And they do
Yeah.
have students, I think they do have students coming from Saratoga
There's no
High
doubt
School.
about prioritization.
Yeah,
The
right.
issue is, are they paying
Paying
their
their
fair
fair
share?
share.
Right.
Is DACA paying their fair share?
Right, and
Is-
then anybody else paying the
Exactly.
better. We are not trying to single out any particular.
So
thing.
when you say these, like this with the Chinese school, that you've, I guess I find it interesting that you say you've given them notice that you're gonna renegotiate, and you did this like a year ago, and there's been no.
We have actually. so
Each year.
The
Yeah.
Chinese schools contract actually specifically, and actually it's kind of interesting that we're keying in on custodian time. Their current contract this year, which was on the board agenda last spring, so roughly 9 months ago, specifically has a clause which we have been in contact with, which is the district and the Chinese school will work together to identify and kind of fully assign custodial costs.
I
There is a-
thought that- I
was a
thought we
change
did
in
that.
the agreement, and they are fully aware of it because they've
Okay,
contacted
yeah.
me many times.
But I think they need to know ahead of time so they can
Correct,
reflect
which is
their
why-
tuition.
Right.
And that's why
Accordingly,
this is
yes,
perfect
not
timing,
last
because
minute.
this is all applicable to 17, 18.
Right.
Let me tell you, for the Chinese school, because I'm also the volunteer for the Chinese school, the registration already go out. So there's no way for us to adjust the rate. If you jump up the rate on this one, then we're going to just fold it, close that school because.
No, they won't. They'll just charge more.
No, but the registration already posted, people already start registration.
Well, maybe
so-
they have a midterm.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying, but I mean.
But we just have to be mindful
Right.
about.
But I also like the way, for example, if they are the long-term, they have the volume discount or something like that. Yeah.
We have to be fair to everybody. I mean, that's the thing.
Yes.
You can't treat one group
Yes.
special.
Therein lies the
than
problem, isn't
another.
it? Is the equity
Well,
piece
it
of this and
should-
trying,
it's-
I know, I agree with you, but trying to create equity, a better equity than we currently have. And I think this does that.
Yes.
But we still have those one-offs where we have maybe larger contracts that we should examine whether they should fit within this structure or stay as one-offs.
Yes.
And this is a good start to modernize
Yes.
Right, yes.
our fee structure. And so all we need to do is let staff now take a look at it, make a couple refinements, and we'll look at it again. I think this is an excellent start.
Yeah.
We're all
We'll-
good.
I agree.
We'll clean up the group thing because I think that is confusing. And again, we've looked at it 5 times. and-
But I think we just have to be mindful about the rollout process.
Well,
And I think the fact that we have this on our agenda, it's open session. We have our first discussion and then 2 more meetings. So community,
Has the opportunity.
yeah.
We'll also-
And they're put on notice.
We'll add the caveat to the whole thing on another asterisk basis, is this is all subject to board review and board. So any given board contract for some of these larger users, that's certainly the board's prerogative to continue kind of that volume discount kind of contract.
Okay, thanks for your help and feedback. And we're sorry for the confusion that there was created with the groups, but I think we have enough to start with and come back again
So
on
you'll
May
bring
28th.
it then, okay, next time, so it will be our first reading, so then we will, if everyone is okay, then we roll it out to the next one maybe.
Absolutely.
But then, I think, are we going to go over the board policy or we'll just wait until the next one?
Well, I've really gone through that. There's no significant changes other than the notes that you had highlighted.
Okay.
So if you're okay with us moving forward with the BP, we'll bring that back as an action item. Because that's kind of the one that I want to get in place. We can go back and forth a little bit about the groups and facilities, but having that in structure in place would be important.
So will we try to?
Can Catherine ask a question, please?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
So a question is, for currently our teacher actually is, for example, the basketball coach, and then they run something like the summer kind of like a conditioning, camp or something like that. Would they would they be in our teacher because it's a district thing, so there's no charge on that one, or what is the?
They're not in their teaching duties.
But it's for their student, like a basketball, for some reason a lot of times they just condition and then they also practice. It's like an open gym type of thing. They did not charge our students, but then just the potential, like an incoming freshman and then the current the JV.
That's a school activity.
That's a school activity.
Okay, all right. Okay.
As long as they don't charge.
Correct.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
The key is that it's our students.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Great,
So
thank
the
you.
question I have regarding the board policy is there a paragraph saying there could be, like the contract, how do I put it? Because whatever we see today is more like in general terms, but like there are situations we negotiate a contract separately. So do we want to have something in our policy just to make it more inclusive?
No, I think keep our board policy clean. If we want to address that, we can address it in the AR, in the sort of reg.
So now we are just adding this section with
Yes.
highlights.
So we have consensus to move forward and take that to action then at the next meeting?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, instructional materials adoption.
Yes, this is another standard operating item where we bring forward novels to you for approval. These two are also for Los Gatos High School Social Justice Change English 12 course, Farewell to Manzanar and Sunflower.
It's a discussion, right? We don't, no, it's an adoption. Is it action item? No.
No.
It's just report and discussion.
Later, right? It's in the consent.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, that's in the consent. Okay. So thank you, and that's in the consent, item B. Later on.
The items in consent are from last board meeting's review and discussion.
Okay, action items, no wait, board policy, sorry, uniform complaint procedure.
Yes, I also have an updated board policy or our uniform complaint procedure bringing forward this evening for your review.
Any highlights on that one, the changes or?
Yes, I do have that summary for you. So it's to bring it up to compliance with current education code on the matter, but specifically it's to add Title IX complaints. Complaints also including sexual violence that are handled under the uniform complaint process. We've also added relevant references and removed repealed statutes and regulations.
So this is just we just needed an update, basically.
Okay, all right, on to action items. First is the technology service contract.
Yes, this is a standing contract. This is how we receive technology services from the county office. Half of this basically is our financial system and then the associated payroll for all employees. And then the other half is physically the way we connect to the internet and associated filterings and kind of security items.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Nobody-
I make
have
a
a
motion.
motion.
Nobody made a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry. All right, Measure E, lower fields. These were kind of high, so Catherine and I thought that Phil or Greg should perhaps review each one with us since they were,
Sure. So the first one is.
or if anybody has any questions about any of them from B to K.
And we
Maybe
do
that's
have,
the
as
way.
an intro, with continued feedback from the board and great work from the subcommittee, we do have very specific scope statements on all of these items.
I saw that.
And so yes, and we're certainly, we can either read the scopes or we can just pick out 2 or 3 or not. It's all here.
Does anyone have a particular one they would like to have Greg or Phil address?
When you say scope,
What was done?
In the write-up from the board, on
The
the board
write-up
action
packet.
item.
okay,
There's a
yeah,
write-up
that's
there,
what you
trying to
meant, the
give you a little bit more
scope.
information, some background or detail.
Can you give us some of the quick,
Sure, item B, which is the general lighting change order number 5, is $36,500. And again, that was a series of items. We had added power to the sewer pump so we could get the lower restroom online. We had them remove the gold infield fine field softball infield through the torrential rainstorms we went through. That material turned saturated. And in the interest of trying to get the field back online, we had them remove the infield fines. We had them change out an IDF cabinet backboard. And then we had some damage underneath in the library from rodents and water. There's an IDF room here in the basement. And so we had them clean up that and also impacted the fire alarm system.
Thank you.
I'm okay with that. I'm making a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, pass. Board reports and communications.
Wait.
No, wait.
It's just the one.
Oh, I thought that we were
I'm
doing all.
confused.
No. We are doing.
I did have a question on.
Oh,
if
okay,
we're not
then,
going
no.
through each
I
one.
was for B only.
Oh, B.
Yeah, but maybe we should go through them all and then we
Yeah,
can
go through
vote
them all.
Go
on
together,
at once.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Like,
see, okay,
Yeah.
see.
So that's B. Now,
And then item C, which is the CRA change order number 5.
Right.
It's extending the sanitary sewers to the new restroom location. We had placed the restroom at a specific location next to the green shed. It's a standing block building, originally the design, that left very little space for bleachers behind the new backstop for softball. We relocated that to the other side of the batting cages and access to the field hockey lacrosse field. And so this was a change to their scope to extend all those services out that far. Item D, Valley Precision Grading, $21,178 is to remove one layer of rock from the field hockey field. As you know, we went through a couple of reiterations there, and so this is the cost for them to do some rock removal. Item E, CDL is geotech engineering firm we used on a few other projects, and we're basically rolling them over to help us with the erosion control for the lower field project. We had some schedule extension issues and weather delays and impacts that added some cost to their contract. Item F is erosion control. Same is to engineer the last chunk of wall we want to do down here along the access road. And then item G, CEO to do the geotech engineering that required to do by DSA for the erosion control. And then item H, general lighting went through in the last summer, and then again some follow-up work this year. Added a bunch of technology inside the community room, and that allowed it to be used as a testing center. And then we ended up having to go back and do some repair work both at the small gym and also in the girls' locker room. There's actually an IDF inside the girls' locker room.
So this was my question on the community room. I remember there was some talk about changing the community room or doing some other work to the community room, and also our relationship on the community room. So why did we go ahead? Did we decide we're just keeping the community room as it is, so we wanted to make these improvements, or what?
Regardless of the community room status, because we have its use during the school day, it's obviously still a very beneficial, large space to be testing in. We were able to put a lot of Wi-Fi access in there to provide testing centers for SBAC testing.
But we never thought about, I remember there was some talk about turning it into a cafe or a student union or a, so if we decide to do that, is this would just be used, incorporated?
This involves some hardwired material which just didn't exist.
So it still would be, it wouldn't go to waste if we decide.
Yeah, recreation has the joint ownership.
No, I know, but there was some talk of maybe that relationship changed, that we would maybe do something else with that
As a
space.
classroom?
Yeah, no, like to make it a cafe or a student union.
Yes,
something like
we
that.
did talk about that because there was active discussion, and there still is with the new director, about whether we will take and submit to the board an opportunity to buy that building outright.
Right. So I just wouldn't want to think that we did, I just wanted reassurance that we were still thinking about that and thinking about the long term of that room and not just a patchwork, and then we're going to end up throwing that.
This will be valuable, this is valuable infrastructure in the long term.
Okay, no matter what we do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Down on the next item, item I, which is agreement with San Jose Water. These are the water connection fees for the fire service for 2 new buildings in Los Gatos. Item J is related to some storm work that we had to do.
Excuse me? So for this water company, the $74,000, was that anticipated? This was.
We had budgeted 50.
Huh?
We had budgeted 50,000.
So it's a little.
50, okay.
So it's a little more than we anticipated.
That's how much.
Probably some of that's probably because they have to come across New York Avenue, so they have to pull a separate encroachment permit from the city.
Okay.
The town.
All right, thank you.
Item J, which is with PNK contractors, the last round of heavy storms with some erosion and some of the soil falling away at the PG&E enclosure that is the main service for the campus and the main gas service for the campus. We had to go in and reshore that area and then do some cleanup immediately afterwards. So this contract compensates them for that work. Item K is change order number 6 with Swenson at the music building in Saratoga. And that includes the 2 big components are power to the heavy sound doors inside a music building, much like the Media Arts building at Saratoga. The doors are very heavy to try to reduce sound transmission between them. And the thought of a student trying to push through the door, hold it open, plus wheel potentially drum through the door seemed Like we were asking a lot from our students, so we had a power mechanism to the door to help open the door for them. And so also, part of that is also an ADA requirement, but we extended it to a few more things. So it was, we felt a smart investment to help our students. And then we had to add 2 pieces of minor cabinetry. We worked with Michael Boyd's in the music group, and we're going to refurbish, or going to move the existing minor cabinets to the new building. And so there's a cost increase in here to install those. We did obviously save money by not having to buy new cabinets. So those cabinets are probably 3 to 4 years already old. And they're quite fine with us making that move. And then we did add a few more cabinets in the percussion room that we did not have in place before.
So the overall cost will be
The total cost of that change was $43,260 or something like that. But those numbers are all still in line with our contingencies and allowances within the budget for the project.
So how much is for the Wagner cabinet and how much is for the extra door, door power?
The control for a dozen doors, a dozen pairs of doors, so 24 individual leaves is about $10,000.
Okay.
And the 2 minor cabinets, I think one's $8,000, the other's $13,000.
So in the original budget for the music building, already we have the Wagner, cabinet,
Correct.
the cost in there.
Correct.
And so are we reducing from that and then replace this one, or we just adding because we need more? So whatever we already planned for, we need to, refurbish or whatever, use
Sure.
this one. So it's an additional cabinet.
Correct. Additional. But it's still within line for the budgets for the project. We still have contingency left on that
Okay,
project.
good.
So
Yeah.
the trends are generally good. I think we did a quick update last meeting. And again, we can bring maybe updates to the projects, the next board or the following one, maybe after we get through the
Who
facility use
requested the
fees.
additional cabinets? I mean, if there were X amount in the plan, and then your
More users than we anticipated when we did our count system.
users, music
Correct.
students.
Correct.
You mean the enrollment?
Yeah, that's what I
More?
was gonna say. I thought that was decreasing, but
Yeah.
guess I got bad information.
Well, I can't speak to the site in general, but I can say that when we went through their analysis of what their current users and by instrument, but some cabinets don't apply to everybody, right?
Right.
And then like a cello storage cabinet is unique to that. And so when we went through the numbers, we just didn't have enough.
That's fine.
And so really the big add is percussion.
Oh, percussion, okay, so,
Thanks.
okay, yeah, because I think at the time, 3-4 years ago, when we reviewed the first Wagner cabinet on that one, we actually based on the enrollment and then the projection about maybe the increase, but I know the last year, it's kind of decreased, so that's why I was wondering, how, anyway.
Might come back.
We just went through it 3 or 4 times with Mike on this.
The amount of instruments, even though some of the kids kind of dropped off from that Rose Bowl and not as many who had like it, but the amount of instruments have stayed relatively consistent and actually kind of basically increased. So this is definitely, the building is going to be great and we're going to be able to house all the instruments.
Great.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, do I have
I
a
move
motion?
to approve the item C to K.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, board correspondence. Catherine?
There's no board correspondence.
Okay. Board communications.
Okay, all right. So I attended last week, we had the Metro Ed board meeting, and then a lot of exciting things said that Metro Ed, they have, every board meeting, they have 2-3 students, coming to talk about presenting, what this program changed their life. For example, one of the students from, I think, Brennan High School, he has, not really engaged with the regular classes, but he loved to play with the, electricity stuff. So he's into their HVAC program, and he proudly presented to us, after he graduated from high school, he going to school for 1 year. He already landed a job for $25 at the SAP, SAP center, to work, so it was a great thing, and I'm so proud our district actually offered that option to it's not for every student, but at least some student might really benefit from that. And so I'm so proud that our district decided, even though we have a small enrollment number, but I think we keep that option open for our students. So thank you, whoever made the decision back then to get into that one. And then I also attending the legislative
March
brunch.
course.
Yeah, with Bob and Cynthia, and I think that's one of the best I attend for the last couple of years. All the legislators, from the state level attend, and so there are a lot of discussion about the reserve cap. There is a discussion about the pension. How we district going to work on that one, and then also advocate about getting the education pie bigger rather than try to figure out who gets more, who gets less. I think try to work collaboratively to get the pie bigger so everyone can benefit from that. So that's my report. Thank you.
Appropriate for the pie, right? Pie
Yeah.
day.
That's right.
That's right.
Well,
I don't have anything.
Yeah, I would just like to report. I also attended the legislative brunch, and I agree with Catherine. It's I think this is the best one I have ever attended, because we have not only Michael Kurz, President of California State Board of Education, coming, gave us an overview about the state, the LCAP, and I think Bob was there listening. And we have state assemblyman, a state senator, Jim Bell, and we have Evan Lowe, and also we have Santa Clara County supervisors. We have 3 of them: Cindy Chavez, Dave Cotas, and also Joe Smithian. And last, we have State Senate President Kevin Leon actually came to give us a talk for 20 minutes. And I did ask him about the question about reserve cap, and he said they are trying to address it. So my second question is, what's the timeline? So they say he responded, hopefully by fall, they will try to address it more further. So that's the event on March 4th. And I also attended the event was last Sunday, March 12th. It was an event sponsored by Asian Pacific Islander School Board Association, and I'm former president, also current Northern California vice president. And the topic was addressing electronic records and the Public Records Act. And we also talked a little about Brown Act. And so I have a copy for everyone. I think the nice thing about this, not only we have the PowerPoint, but also like all the, backup documents here. Because we didn't have as many people, so it's kind of like a roundtable discussion. One of the speakers had bronchitis, so Harold couldn't make it, but we have Steve, the other speaker, who's also with Ronald Smith, but he's also served as San Francisco Community College board member for 6 years, so he had the perspectives as a board member as well. What happened is now more and more requests with the Public Records Act has been turned into the agency, what he calls it, agency. It's like, district is an agency. And so we have to be very careful. The Gmail, the text message, it's like pretty much everything, but if it's related to a school district. So the practice has been, we probably should have some kind of training, for the district, not just the board member, even the district employees. And then also, if there's any request from the public, we will sign an affidavit saying that whatever the information we are providing is district it's related to district business. And so it's just something like we have to be very careful with how we, deal with this Public Records Act. And we have two Santa Clara County School Board member there. So Grace Mom and also Rosemary Kame, and then they are going to go back to talk to their county supervisor, and hopefully we can have an event in the future sponsored by Santa Clara County School Board Association and also the county board. And so, those of us who are interested can attend. But I think we just have to be very careful from now. Yeah.
So what you're suggesting is you and I shouldn't email anymore then?
We'll just talk over the phone.
Okay.
We'll just talk.
We'll text. We can't even text.
No, you
No.
cannot text. No text.
No
Okay.
text.
Well, thank you. That's my report.
Doug?
Yes, I'd like to thank John Guerra and Kevin Rogers for their assistance. As you all know, the Los Gatos Lions Club runs the Snack Shack here at Los Gatos High School for many high school activities as well as community events. Because we've been without that visitor side Snack Shack, storage has been a real issue for us. It's been very difficult this year. And John and Kevin were able to find a convenient location for us for our container. We got an 8x20 container, and John, as usual, helped us with ordering it and made sure we got the right thing. So really appreciate their help.
Okay, consent calendar. All items will be voted on as one, unless somebody pulls one.
I so move to approve the entire consent calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Public comments? None. The next board meeting is the 28th. Adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.